Hi, my name is Joe Kazacos, and today I'm going to be showing you how to use a basic survival kit by running through the 5 C's of survival: cover and shelter, combustion, cutting tool, cordage, and a container for clean water. I've got one tool for each of the 5 C's in the survival kit for the absolute essentials, and I've also added a few other things so that you can use this anywhere. As you can see, this kit is small and it's not too heavy. It's wrapped in a waterproof bag, and it makes it useful as a self-contained unit that you keep in your car's glove box or your backpack, pretty much anywhere that you'll have quick access to it. This kit can also complement your existing outdoor gear, so you always have a backup plan. Here's the kit broken down. Each one of these components will correspond to one of the 5 C's. Some cover more than one. Let's start off with cutting tools.
I require a cutting tool.
There's a lot of debate around what the best survival knife is. In my kit, I've included this small full tang knife. Full tang means that it's one solid piece of metal all the way through, so it's got no moving parts. It makes it a little bit sturdier, a little bit more reliable. You can do a few more things with it. And it also has a rope handle. The rope can be taken off to make a spear or something like that. It also has a sheath that comes with a belt loop. Next is the multi-tool. This is a mini multi-tool. It's pretty versatile. I really like the pliers on it. It has a small knife that could be a backup to your main knife, some scissors, some screwdrivers, kind of the basics. But it's really nice and it goes well with a kit because it's just so compact. Next is the wire saw, and I'll get into that in just a minute. It comes kind of wrapped up, kind of coiled up, but you can make it straight, and it looks like you're meant to kind of floss it between these two ends. That's not exactly how it's supposed to work. You can use it that way. I've seen them break that way. You're supposed to string it between two ends of a branch, and the tension in the branch will keep this straight and rigid, and that's what's going to give you a nice straight cut. And there you have it. It can get you some good branches, some green branches if you need it. You don't have to rely with what's only on the ground. And what's great about this is that it's easy to dismantle. You just pop it off the ends of the branch. Let's look at cordage next. Cordage and fastening equipment. Cordage or rope can be really helpful, and there's just a ton of applications, as I'll show when I'm building my shelter. So it's possible to make your own rope, but I found that the process is just so time consuming that it's not really practical. So it's better to just have it ready out of the bag. The best options that fit into this kit are 50 feet or 15 meters of 550 paracord, a spool of dental floss or wax string, some steel wire. Here I've got 2 gauges, some releasable zip ties, some heavy duty duct tape. I actually have Gorilla Tape here. Some fishing line in my fishing kit here, along with some other fastening hardware such as some nails, some eyelets, and some safety pins. I also have a small bottle of super glue. It's not exactly cordage, but like rope, its purpose is to keep things together, and it's really useful for small repairs. Up next is water.
Oh, I ain't got no water.
Container for clean water. So your body needs about 1 liter of water per day, and you'll need a lot more if you're in a hot climate or exerting yourself physically. I've packed my kit with 4.2 ounces or 125 milliliters sachet of water. It's not much, but it's enough to get me started if I really needed it right away. And as we'll see, the other methods for collecting and treating water all take a little bit of time and effort. So this is ready to go out of the bag, and it's great because it has a very long shelf life, doesn't require any tools to open. I don't need that right now, so I'll set it to the side. Here I have a plastic flask. It's about ½ a liter, and this is great because it can fold up. It's very compact when it's empty, and on the inside I have water purification powder. There are several ways to purify water chemically. Iodine, calcium hypochlorite, and even household bleach will work. For today, I'll be using chloroflock. Here I have a small metal cup, and this will be used for boiling water. and I'll get into that once we go over the fire building. Also, the bag itself, the bag that contains the survival kit, can be used to carry water. Probably not to purify the water, but at least to get it to a container that you can purify later. So I also have a garbage bag, and this garbage bag can be used to make a solar still. I'll be going over that in just a minute. So this is one version of a solar still. It's essentially just this black garbage bag that I've wrapped around a really leafy branch of a tree. And what it's doing is the sun will hit the black garbage bag, heat the inside, and sap all the moisture from the leaves. The moisture will rise, hit the top of the bag, condense, and then drip down to the bottom here. It doesn't collect that much, but because it's such a passive method, you can just kind of set it, you know, with a little bit of tape and a garbage bag. You can make water, clean water, and you don't have to put too much effort into it. Just make sure that the collection point down here is beneath the branch so that it goes downward. And as you can see, I think we already have some water. Again, not too much, but every little bit counts. Okay, so I got plenty of water from the brook, and now it's time to sterilize what's in the bag. The powder is inside the flask, and that's sterilizing the water right now. Let's take a look at how to build a fire. Here's what I have for fire starting. Again, the main purpose behind fire starting in this scenario is going to be for purifying the water in the cup, also for warmth. So the first few methods I want to go through are in this little baggie here. So we have just a classic lighter, again prone to wind and water, but still pretty reliable. A wet fire tab. These storm matches, these are great because they light even if they're wet, and they also have a 15-second burn. And then also these little tinder, they just kind of help the fire get going. They've got some kind of fuel inside. Yeah, they're really great if you couple them with the flint and steel. So this is the flint and steel. The side makes sparks. And if you shave off this side, it's got magnesium. And if you can hit the magnesium with the spark, which I'll show later, then that can get a fire going. This is great because it's really reliable, even if it's wet. And it's nice and compact, and it's very sturdy, so pretty foolproof. Also, I've got a magnifying glass. This isn't a really reliable method. You need direct sunlight for this to work. Right now, there's even just a minor overcast, and I just don't have the amount of sunlight necessary to start a fire. I have a candle here. And this is good if you can bring it inside your shelter. If you have a snow shelter or something like that, it'll just carry the flame. So one note about the steel cup, if you have room for it, this is something else, another option. I don't include it in my survival kit because it's a little bit too big. This, I put things inside as I pack it into the bag. This is great because it's all metal. You can carry it, you can purify the water inside chemically or by boiling if you take the lid off. And you can carry it around just like this. This obviously just doesn't have a lid, so this is kind of all in one package if you have the room for it. So like I mentioned before, I'm going to be using the flint and steel and the special little tinder piece. So I got the fire pretty stable here, and I've got the water boiling. I'll let it boil for a few more minutes, just make sure that everything's sterilized really well.
Cover!
Essentially, what's going to protect you from the elements? Your first line of defense is what you're wearing, your clothing. So here I have a hooded shell. This is nice and waterproof, and it'll keep me warm. If you don't have something like this, a good backup that the kit includes is an emergency poncho. Inside the poncho, I've also included some hand warmers, just in case you really need that dexterity to get a fire started or something like that. Those hand warmers will come in handy. And I also have a bundled up Mylar blanket, and this is great too if you need to wrap your body. I'm actually going to be using this kind of as my sleeping bag for the night, and I'll show you on how to build a shelter in conjunction with these items. So this is where I've selected to make my shelter. I can clear out some of these rocks, and using my cordage, I'll try to make a lean-to across the trees. Here I'm using the garbage bag to give my shelter some weatherproofing. So this is the sleeping arrangement for my shelter. I have my shell on, I've got my hat, I've got my hood up, and when I'm ready to finally go to sleep, I'll probably zip this up all the way because it's going to get colder. And so essentially what I have is a mattress of dry leaves. This can help insulate me from the ground a little bit. I have the poncho, which I've split into two, is going to protect me from any moisture that rises up from the ground. And then of course I've got my Mylar blanket, and I'm just going to burrito myself into that. So I should be sheltered from the wind. I've got my fire pit on this side, and I should be pretty comfortable tonight. As you can see, I've built a rock wall on the back side of my fire pit. This is going to help shield the fire from the wind during the night, and it's also going to reflect all the heat into my shelter. Here are a few extras that aren't covered by the 5 C's, but I figured they'd be important enough to include in the kit. I kind of lumped them under communication and navigation. I have a small compass here. You can kind of get your bearings with that. A whistle if you needed to call for help. This really is loud. It carries a sound very far. And a little signaling mirror. I'll show you how to use that. Using the small hole in the mirror, you can aim the sun's beam at your target. Even the small signaling mirror is effective at really long distances. International Morse code and some signaling for rescuers. Also some rulers here for map reading. Here I have a cotton bandana. And this can be used as flagging tape. It's nice bright orange so you can get somebody's attention, and it's just got a whole bunch of other uses. Folds up so it goes in the kit. Also, I have a small flashlight here. You can use fire's light, but this is just a lot easier, and it has some different settings, including strobe, and it's splash proof. It's small, it's got a pretty long battery life, so it goes in the kit. Using a bit of wire and tape, I was able to put the flashlight onto the bill of my cap, and essentially now I have a hands-free headlamp. Next is this really basic first aid kit. It's not going to help with major injuries, but you know, bumps and bruises, a couple scratches, this is where it's really going to be important. I threw a power bar into my kit just because it's easy food, it's easy energy, it's got lots of protein in it. And it's, you know, it's got a long shelf life, it's ready to go out of the bag. You need to eat it hot or cold, and it requires no preparation. Because it's such dense energy and it's so small, I threw it in the kit. So that's it, those are the 5 C's. As you can see, I'm dry, I'm warm, and I'm ready to go. I've got my water here, I've got all my gear in a bindle, I'm good to go. Thanks for joining me.